What's up, all my gorgeous and beautiful souls? This is Breaking the Cage. I'm sorry, I'm shaking up my drink. I have a Pedialyte in here because I want some of the electrolytes, and it doesn't seem to be mixed well, so I'm just shaking that sucker up. Sorry for the late beginning. Let me get my incense burning as we start to get into this week's Breaking the Cage. Like I said, I was having some technical difficulties. Never fails. I always seem to have technical difficulties. Trying to get going, having me some issues with StreamYard and so forth. But I want to say thank you to the Matrix Minds and the Matrix Minds community for having me, and for all the love that you guys give me, and just keep paying attention and checking in with all of our different shows, and I'm so thankful to be part of it. I also want to say thank you to everyone who checks me out on YouTube for this show, Breaking the Cage, as well as on my own YouTube channel. You can also find my information personally on my own channels, which is Breaking the Cage, here on Facebook, and just finding me here on Facebook. But this is for January 12th through the 18th. Now, let me sit back and try to get comfortable here as we get started. Like I said, I was having some technical difficulties. It never fails. I'm always having issues trying to get computer right. Just in general. I am feeling personally very good about this week and the energy and what I'm being told. But that doesn't mean that all of the energy is beautiful. But that always has to do with how we're viewing the world around us and what eyes we are seeing it through. If we're seeing it through wounded eyes, or if we're seeing it through higher levels of consciousness. And with that higher levels of consciousness really is speaking to us on how divinely connected we are to understanding divine love. Hold on, I sip of my drink again, because I keep getting powdered chunks where it didn't get mixed up. And that kind of messes you up. I'm in the wrong area. Before I get going on, this is for January 19th through the 25th. I am not your average astrologer. I am not your average astrologer. I get speaking about things in different perspectives than many astrologers do. I don't always read the aspects the way many astrologers do. I wasn't taught it the way many astrologers were. I was taught it from the shaman perspective. I was taught to look at astrology and energy and everything from a little bit of a different perspective, because I was taught it from spirit in my shamanism. So when spirit started teaching me about astrology, it was to help me personally understand myself and the conflicts that was going on within me, not to blame astrology for it, but to help understand so multidimensionally how we are with so many of our emotions and our levels of consciousness and our levels of dimensions. And in fact, I always speak when I'm working with my clients and teaching them, I'm always speaking about the way spirit, while teaching me about energy, used astrology to help us learn how to magnify and go deeper into energy by marinating energy, such as your zodiacs, your houses, energies, the different planets. And the reason I'm saying that is because, like I said, it wasn't ever being taught to me in the way of blaming astrology or anything, but it was helping us to understand ourselves on a much larger scale. And before I get into where I'm going with all of this is, I was noticing one of the things that I don't like about many other astrologers, or even lack of astrologers out there and stuff, is you get so many people who take the bare minimum of information. Like, you'll see memes everywhere right now about how 6 planets are in alignment. Well, guess what, guys? That happens every year. And just trying to fill you with such bare minimum of information, that happens every year. But every year, while they're in alignment, it happens to do with where they're in alignment and how that conversation is taking place and what signs they are. So while they're in alignment, that doesn't mean that it's the same thing every year either. Just like every full moon in Capricorn, or every full moon in Leo, or new moon or solstice, those energies are never the same. You can't take the same rituals over and over. This is about a never-ending, maturing thing, and learning where you are on your path. With that being said, I've been saying since the year began about so many things, about how divinely connected are we, how comfortable are we, how much are we in our emotional security, and having that connection to the divine, if you will, to God. Because a lot of it's been coming through as voodoo as well, in the sense of Bundi, Dambala and stuff, and how I keep speaking of God consciousness, Christ consciousness, that idea of God is so far removed from us that we feel it's removed, but it isn't. It's a spark of us. It's a spark in us. It's connecting to what's already in there, even though we feel like we're praying and we're putting out these conversations and these questions and these asks of guidance, and learning how to understand when we are receiving what feels so far away from us, is because you're looking outside of you instead of inner understanding that is coming from the inside. Now, I'm going through all of that because we've also been talking about the age of Aquarius for the longest amount of time. When is it beginning? Has it begun? Da da da, you know. And yes, I've been saying for years now, the age of Aquarius has begun. But you're in, this year itself is a numerology. It's a number 9 year. So 10 is the ending and the beginning, like the alpha and the omega. This year is the year of completion. This year is tying up loose ends. This year is actually creating closure. This year is, I don't want to say the last of they just gave me Hercules smash, not Hercules, they just gave me the Hulk smash. This year is, I would say, as far as bringing the negatives out, because where I'm trying to get is the age of any age. like the age of Aquarius, the age of Pisces, which we have just left. We're now in the age of Aquarius. We will start to feel and look around at things for the first time next year, at starting to see the age of Aquarius. But this year is the last of what you're going to get pulled out into the surface, beaten out to the surface, and start cleansing and getting rid of that super funk. This is that last year of what you're going to be able to truly bring out, show to the masses, make closure, and start changing towards the true age of Aquarius. Now, any age is approximately 2,100 years. So, I mean, there's still a shit ton of change coming. But where it's felt Hulk smash and beating us down as we're bringing all of this stuff out, this is the closure year. This is the year of, like I said, tying up all loose ends. And with that, we also need to realize we have now the North Node and the South Node have moved into Pisces and Virgo. This has a lot to do with it. And why I say next year is also going to be a lot of where we actually start to look around and see the building and the changing more into the harmonious idea of the age of Aquarius, where this year is still Hulk smash, bringing it out, but good things are coming. You just have to believe. And in the little meme that I was putting out for this show, I was saying, yes, we're taking a trip to Neverland. Because what is Neverland? I mean, Disney form of Neverland. It's Peter Pan. It's, I do believe. It's where the Lost Boys live. It's the dreamland. Well, what are we right now? We're in the dreamland. You are ultimately already in Neverland. We are creating our own reality. The power of our reality, we're learning how we've powered it very poorly by being shown, taught, preached, beaten into hive mind mentality of continuously programming lower vibrational frequencies. And we're learning how to break that. We're learning how to come back to the power of ourself, which is a glorious thing, but we still have a shit ton to truly learn in order for us to eventually move into the higher vibrational spiritual beings, species that we're becoming. There's still a lot of work there. Just like I said, 2,100 year age of Aquarius, we've still got lots of work to do. But this is the last year of it. Now, I say that in the sense of making us feel a little bit more comfortable about the closure and bringing the last of the Hulk smash out, because after this year, it's going to be a little harder to bring it out, because the following year, when that North Node and South Node move, they're moving into Aquarius and Leo. So we're getting into the real birthing of the age of Aquarius, with the North Node being there, with the South Node being in the heart space of Leo and the creativity. But right now, it's in Pisces, which is a whole nother world of still Hulk smash. And I don't mean this bad, and I'm not saying anything bad about Pisces or Virgo, but I am going to start, before I take this into a positive outlet, with looking at the lower perspectives. I had a session today with one of my clients, and you guys have heard me say a million times that if I'm doing my job right, Because I really get sick of seeing all these people out here who are decoys, just out for money. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like money just like the next person. But, and for the work I do, I work hard for the work I do. But I say all the time, my job is to teach you how to not need me. But when I'm doing my job right, and you do need me, I'll be here. And I'm going through a session with someone who I normally put the session to maybe about 4 hours long. And we're going into our third day of slowing them down, and probably moved it out to about 6 hours of work. And the reason I'm explaining this is because, like I said, that's what I mean. I want you to know that I'm going to be there for you, to walk you through it, to help you understand, to break it down. And I'm not worried about the money. If you're doing the job right, you're doing the job right. And that was one of the things I was saying to this person today. I was like, a lot of times when people finally make it to me, those of you who follow me and who've known me for years know that I deal with the death gods. And I'm forever saying that by the time usually you've made it to me, you are probably in the position where I'm going to need to piss you off. And it's not about being mean. It's about, my job is to call myself and others out on where we're missing the point, where we're missing the levels of consciousness. We're in subconsciousness. We're in the lack of the consciousness. We're in denial. We're in our inner blindness. We just completely miss it and don't see it, goes over our head. And a lot of times I tell people all the time, and people get so pissed off at me because I'm like, you have to do the hard work. Yes, I could be like any witch out there and I could make a spell and send a spell out. But when the spell is done, it resets, it goes back. The point isn't to do spell work. The point is to step into your guiding power. The point is to step into that source connection. And in order for us to get to that vibrational frequency and start rising, we have to do the hard work, which is facing the things that we often don't want to face or are just downright difficult. So sometimes my job is to piss you off by making you address these things. Now, I'm saying that because this is a double-edged sword this year, because now you're in Pisces. The North Node is in Pisces. You have the North Node in Pisces right now with Neptune, Saturn, Venus, and Nessus. And then the North Node. Nessus is the curse of our ancestral or our repeating lifelines. Saturn is your rules, your walls, your boundaries, reformulating them, maneuvering them so that they work for us. I mean, Saturn is. Neptune is our magic, our ability to breathe magic into anything, good or bad. Venus is your sensitivity, but all of this is taking place in the 12th house universally, which is the hardest house to understand. This is why I went the long route about this, getting into this conversation, because when we're getting into Pisces energy and its lowest vibrations, this has everything to do with your feet. You are speaking of destructive energy. You are speaking about torture. You are speaking about hatred, self-sabotage, inner blindness. They owe me energy. This is our malice. This is the worst of human energies. Not that Pisces is bad. Every sign has its positives and every sign has its negatives. And I'm looking at the lowest of the energies because Pisces is the 12th house. This is where the inner blindness takes place. This is where we have got to finish the Hulk smash and bring it to the light so we can get closure. So those who are being forced to make changes, narcissistic people, you're going to see a radical amount of fight within them because of the power they're losing right now. Grief, sorrow, shame, blame, skeletons in the closet, insecurities, everything that is our blindness about being comfortable and our uncomfortabilities, keeping the self-sabotage going, staying in the hive mind mentality, not breaking the cage and coming into our power and starting to ultimately bless ourselves. And it all is connected with your feet. This is grounding. We have to be very grounded this year as we make this closure, as we tie up loose ends. Because Pisces is also one of the biggest compassionate, emotional, intuitive, psychic connected, but mischief, fun, unconditionally loving, and sometimes naive signs. So we are looking at where inner blindness, skeletons in the closet, are coming out and trying like hell to hold on to being in that closet. I don't want to be seen for who I really am and going to fight and fight and fight versus, and like Barbara, I'm seeing you say, I'm a Pisces. I want to make sure I'm not making this come out like I'm picking at Pisces. I'm directly looking at the 12th house energy more than I am the Pisces. Because on every chart, hold on, I need some of my drink. On a universal chart, Pisces stands for that 12th house. But every chart spins that wheel a little bit different. So every chart does not mean that 12th house is representing Pisces energy, although it will definitely carry it because it's ruled by it. And this is what I mean. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which is also ruled by the 12th house. It is the magic of the ability of magic. It is the big fat epiphany, a question of, can you connect? And what will you connect to? Will you connect to your source connection or self-sabotage? Will you connect to mischief or higher consciousness? Or is it just fun and it's not going to be so damn serious? I mean, there's so many things here. But when we're looking at it from that 12th house, trying to tie up loose ends this year and bring that Hulk smash to an end so that we can tie up loose ends and ultimately start creating the age of Aquarius, where it's more of a harmonious and a humanitarian time. This is where those who are not ready to grow are going to basically hold on tooth and nail, ripping their fingernails out, doing anything they can to not come. But this is also speaking ultimately directly to the feet energy, and it is speaking to the connection of how you are seeing and creating your world with where you go. Your feet walk you everywhere. I don't know how many times I have spoken to us in the past about you. So many cultures, even biblical, in the Bible and stuff, they talk about blessing the feet. Your feet ultimately are responsible for walking you, unless you're in a wheelchair or something. But on the average human being, your feet are responsible for walking you into every endeavor that you are a part of. Any toxic place, your feet ultimately took you there. So we're blessing our connection to the earth and the consciousness. And what are we walking into? What are we doing with that energy? Are we walking ourselves into sacrifice in a healthy way? We're sacrificing and seeing things through a new change, or self-sabotage? Is it dreams and secrets? Is it resistance and boundaries? Is it seeking harmony? Neptune is your magic. Nessus is your curse, where we keep living and breathing the same hive mind mentality back into reaction, back into the same old can't break the cage. Venus is your sensitivity right now. So we are definitely looking, because this week is just Pisces energy and a lot of, I think, Virgo. No, Lilith. Yeah, Lilith. And Libra energy. But we're mainly looking at a shit ton of that. And what are we vibrating? Have you ever felt the vibrations in your feet? Because you pull energy from the earth into you. But I tell people all the time, that's not always the most positive either. Sometimes you're putting energy back out into the earth. Sometimes the energy on the earth itself hasn't cleansed, and you're sucking up unhealthy energy into you. I mean, this is literally talking about the movement of that energy, understanding what we're walking ourselves into by the beginning and the end. What's going on in your conscious, in your brain, and where you're taking yourself and your actions. Everything is chain reactions. Now, I was saying this week, hold on, before I get into that, we're going into the new moon next week. This also has this is why I've been taking this route. The new moon next week is all about new beginnings. That's what new moons are. New path, new direction, new beginnings, new. And it's all coming in a new moon in Aquarius. So we're looking at a small little, this week, preview of what this year is. Right here now, this very week. And it is very important for us right now this week to not compare yourself to others. I mean, we should never be comparing ourselves, but we're human. We screw up left and right all the time. We do these things. Not that it's right, but that's what we do. That's the ego in us. You should not be comparing yourself to even yourself in the past. What was of the past is simply the past. You are not the same person you was at 10. You are not the same person you was at 20, 30. You constantly are growing. Yet that person helped create who you are right now. But don't compare yourself to your journey to anyone else's, or to what you see of them achieving or not achieving, or to other perspectives of yourself. This is reflecting where we simply are, what we're satisfied with, and what we have to work on. That's it. Stop being so hard on ourselves. Because Lord knows we're really good at being hard on ourselves. And we've got to learn to be better about that. But also, right now is a big importance of no decision is a decision. Because with the energies we're seeing right now, we may not want to make a decision. We may want to sit back and wait on it. And this energy right now is very much initiating change. It is very much asking us to bring the healing forward, step into self-motivation, step into your action-oriented self-assertiveness. And where is your belief? Where is your belief in your will to believe in understanding your beliefs can change as you grow? Again, you're not the same person you were when you were 10. This is readdressing, identifying, acknowledging who we are, where we want to go. And like I was saying, for the last 2 days, I've been walking around saying this to myself, and I've been cracking myself up because Spirit just keeps saying it in my head again and again and again. And it's from the movie Peter Pan. Because like I said, ultimately we create our realities, but we're learning how to stop creating falsy funk realities. So inner child, inner source, don't fail me now. I do believe in fairies. I do believe in fairies. I do. The moment you believe anything, it has already become so. However, it may not be so in this reality. It may be so in a different dimension, because you believed it, but not wholeheartedly. I do believe in fairies. I do believe in fairies. I do believe in magic. Where the fuck is your magic? Are you going to wait for however many solar flashes to happen? Are you going to wait until your human body and DNA has been manipulated and transferred and gone through all of that change for you to actually have some superpowers and start jumping into, I don't know, the Flash, the Hulk, whatever, Spider-Man? No. You are a god. Walk in that fucking room with that god energy. I do believe in magic. I do. And you cannot take that from me. I am it. You have to believe it now. This is moving you into the age of Aquarius. Are you going to keep questioning it? Are you going to look for magic outside of you? Or are you going to start realizing, I already am? This is what we're getting into. I do believe in fairies. I do. Where the hell is your magic? What does it take for you to believe in it? That's your question. And why? Why are you waiting for someone to deliver it to you? Dig that shit up. This is what I was saying when I was saying earlier in the session. A lot of times my job as a shaman is to piss you off. My job as a shaman is to get in there, as spirit puts it to me, like a hellhound and sniff out the shame. Sniff out the grief, the sorrow, the shame, the blame. Sniff out everything that's keeping you from wholeheartedly being secure and pulling back the power of you. I do believe in magic. I don't care what you believe. I believe it, and that's all that freaking matters. Because I am the creator of my reality, and I don't want my creations of my reality, the moment I think of it, to go to another fucking timeline where it does me no good. No, 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 no. I'm bringing it back here into my magical land of Neverland. Which Neverland are you choosing? Now let me get into the blueprint. This week is all about us speaking our magic. Chiron is on the hyoid bone, which is right here. It is speaking to your ability to swallow, to actually speak, to actually breathe. It supports the muscles of the tongue and its ability to talk. So this is everything you say is a spell. Every time you talk positively or negatively, you are casting a spell out there into the world. So when we're talking about it, you're talking about Chiron, the wounded healer, literally sitting on the hyoid bone and speaking about your ability to speak and create. Then we take it to Uranus, which is now sitting on the teeth, connected to every single chakra. But your teeth also are responsible for helping you form sound. That's also speaking about vibrations, about what's coming out of your mouth. Where are they? Where are you taking them? Not to mention, it is sitting on a fixed star, or right next to the fixed star, with Saturn energy. Rules, walls, boundaries. It's time to shift and maneuver them so they work for us. When we get into our Jupiter energy in the blueprint, Jupiter is sitting on the thymus gland. Right there, it's telling you we're talking about the thymus chakra. And the thymus chakra is speaking to you about how you connect to actual divine consciousness, divine love. But you know what the thymus gland does? It works with the T cells, creating the blood cells to fight infection. So your higher consciousness in the body is actually helping to fight the infections that the hive mind have created that's still running through your bloodstream by connecting with that higher consciousness. See, unconditional love is so funny. Higher consciousness just stretches out so much farther than we ever really think. You have Mars, which is in Cancer, and it is on the blood vessels, transporting oxygen through the body, nutrients, and removing waste. The South Node is sitting on the veins in the liver and removing blood and taking oxygen back to the heart, or unhealthy oxygen for it to be cleansed. That's what this is all about. Evaluating the process of the transformation. Lilith is in the kidneys, Right there's your sacral chakra, your relationships with yourself, and everything you have a relationship with. And I can't say enough times that you have a relationship with everything you care about. You have a relationship with your family, with your lovers, with your children, with your co-workers, but you also have a relationship with your job. You have a relationship with your home. You have a relationship with your money. I don't know how many times I could say this. When you have no money, you know all about your relationship with that lack of money. So this is about the relationship your mind has created with your world and yourself. The kidneys is speaking to you about that relationship, about security within that relationship, feeling confident or not within that relationship. Scorpio has Juno and Vesta in it, and these are both on the reproductive organs. Reincarnation. You are not who you were when you were 10. Shit, you are not who you were 5 years ago. Not with all the changes we've been seeing. You have Pholos, Mercury, and Pallas, which are still in Capricorn. This is speaking to us in our levels of lower consciencelessness, of Pholos is full loss, and speaking to us about simple mistakes that ultimately could cost you even your life, because that's what Pholos was, got poisoned by not paying attention. Mercury is your communication. Pallas is Athena, the warrior goddess, speaking to you about strategically thinking and maneuvering the situations. And it's in Capricorn, levels of the lower consciencelessness. So this is asking you, with those three energies, where are you having issues with inadequacy, jealousy, inferiority, helplessness? It's the knees. If your knees are having problems at this time, it could very much be talking about the chakra and the conversation that the knee chakra is having from that lower consciencelessness into your upper chakras, and understanding the development of where you are. That's it. Stop being so hard on yourself. It's about making that change. Understanding where we're having inadequacy, where we're having fear, where we're having jealousy, where we're inferior about making the change and uncomfortable about it. That's it. It's not about beating up on ourselves and abusing ourselves. When we get into Aquarius energy, you have Pluto here, you have the sun here, Sirius, which is the threefold, not Sirius star, Sirius. It's the threefold. It's about nurturing or neglecting. It's about Cardi Claw, one of those that most people don't talk about. That is the shaman. Understanding the higher perspectives in in Aquarius, with Pluto now coming into, all right, I've got my breath here. I'm starting to see what I've got to do for the next 30 freaking years. What is the direction I want to take? Pluto is the only one that actually, even when it's moving forward, it's the only one that never stops inwardly beating up on you, because it wants you to realize your source energy. It's grief, sorrow, shame, blame. It's not. It's death and renewal, where you're holding on to an idea that is not you, because you haven't figured out how glorious you are. What your soul energy is so magnificent. And you haven't realized how magnificent you are. And in Aquarius energy, the lower consciousness is where it's all about, well, it has to be me first. I have to look out for me first because nobody else is going to. It's the selfishness. It's the push and shove to take care of myself. It's the prolonged confusion because I can't figure it out of the lower consciousness here, where it's not connected to that higher understanding, where it hasn't forgiven itself. It hasn't given itself the acceptance. It isn't seeing. Fuck illumination. It isn't seeing that you are the glorious consciousness of source. So it feels like it has to push and shove. This is why I was saying narcissistic energy is going to be getting like a rabid dog, where it's trying to hold on to and it's losing it because Hulk smash is down to its last year of Hulk smash. So those who are in that ill conscious behavior are going to get more ill. But the rest of us need to be aware of that so we know how to not get out of our power. One of the most powerful and freeing things is knowing that you become unfucking touchable when you're in your power. Nobody can make me do anything. But we so easily, naively, often from love, give our power away by not understanding. We're teaching everyone that it's okay to treat us that way. When you love yourself first, that's not narcissistic. That's saying, I'm going to teach you how to love yourself by me showing you I'm not going to allow this to happen to me. Narcissistic energy is trying to take from others, manipulate, and make them feel bad. Being in your power is, I love myself, and I'm going to show you how to love yourself. And you can either get on board with this or not, but I'm not going to allow the bad behavior. It's that simple. But the hardest part, like I said, is getting through that North Node, which is learning everything you need to learn in order to move forward. And the only thing the North Node can be trying to get through any of our heads in Pisces is healing. Pisces 12th house is grief, sorrow, shame, blame, skeletons in the closet, and inner blindness because of where we haven't healed into the power of our magic, the power of who and what we are. It's not even, I do believe in fairies. I do. It's I believe, so therefore I am. I believe what I want to believe. I believe in the power of me. I believe that I can create. I believe that I am having that connection with source energy. I am in my power. I believe in magic. So therefore, I'm standing here strong. And you can't tell me, and you can't make me believe that I don't. I've entered unfuckwithable energy. The only thing the North Node has to teach here is how to come out of inner blindness, of lack of the healing. Where do you make the magic work? And where do you not? And why? Why are you sensitive to it? Venus is not love. Venus is speaking about what we're comfortable with, what we are sensitive to, why we are sensitive to it. Does it support us or does it hinder us? And why? This is where logic and emotion come together. Emotionally connecting with the feeling of what it is to be human, but logically knowing how to maneuver it and leave behind the curses, breaking the chain, ultimately breaking the cage, putting Hulk smash down and creating the age of Aquarius. This whole year is about tying up these loose ends and making that closure so we can start to truly move forward. Now, the moon this week itself, when we get back into astrology and out of the blueprint, the moon starts off in Libra. I can't say enough times, my biggest pet peeve with Libra is anytime the moon is in Libra, we want to create harmony and balance. And 90% of the time, we're not meant to. And the reason I say that is Libra is the scales. And I say this to Libras all the time. You may be the sign of Libra, but you are not the scale. You have to pick a side. You are not meant to be left out of the scales. Harmony and balance is not meant to be created on those scales for everyone but you. You must pick a side in order to find harmony, balance, and justice. So a lot of times we're trying to create harmony in a place where it was not meant to be, because by doing that, we are band-aiding it to not get fixed. Then we're moving into Scorpio, where the moon will be speaking with Vista, the keys to opening the doors in Scorpio, and Juno, sacrifice and commitment, and the keys to transformation, to the relationships rules, maneuvering and shifting the boundaries. Ending the week with the moon going into Sagittarius, where you have two yods. A yod is a creator energy. And I got yods all over this week. I didn't even decide really to talk about the Grand Trine because the yods that were showing up. But the Sagittarius, ninth house, at the end of the week, I'm going to come back for that one here in a minute, because that one's with the moon. But all week long, you have Lilith in that seventh house speaking to us directly about making sure that we are not comparing ourselves to others, and that we understand no decision is a decision. And it is speaking to Uranus, and it is speaking to the North Node and Neptune. But it is pointing, wherever the yod is pointing at is where the power is. It is pointing at Lilith. So this is you being in the possession of the power of you by acknowledging the healing that is taking place, or you not being in the possession and the power of you, yet someone or something else is, by not making the healing take place and directly looking at it over to Lilith in the way of, do not compare yourself to others, but no change, no decision is a decision. So this is not a time to sleep on it. But this is a time to step in the power, step into the belief and the healing, and step away from the comfort zone and the self-sabotage. You have that going on all week. You have that Lilith energy, which is getting along fabulously with Saturn, Venus, and Nessus, which is also in that 12th house. The sensitivity, the curse, and the rules, laws, and boundaries. You are being given the opportunity to maneuver the change. But will you? That's a free will choice. And that is speaking directly and the opportunity of speaking to the Sun and Pluto in that 11th house, which means something is happening here, directing your goals, your dreams, your ambitions, according to the groups and the committees and the outer world of what you are a part of. Are you being manipulated into your own goals, dreams, ambitions, and believing in yourself? Or are you being manipulated into believing in someone else's and putting yours on the back burner? No, 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 no. I'm not here for your freaking convenience. And that's what a lot of you all need to learn. I can be a good, loving person, but I'm not here for someone else's convenience. This is my life. Sometimes we have to be just self-centered and just enough in love with ourselves to be that way. That's just healthy boundaries, babe. You have the South Node, which is also speaking really good with the Sun and Palace. Strategically maneuvering the change with Pluto here. And making the changes in the relationships. And they just said for some of you, this is all about you stepping into your convincer action energy. You have a kite energy. I always call it's the end of a kite. But for some reason, for me, the way that I see it, the end of a kite, it's one of those chain reactions I speak about that really has way more power than people usually give it credit for. And a lot of astrologers don't speak about it at all. And this is pointing at Neptune in the North Node, in that 12th house, where you find the healing, come out of that inner blindness. And it's speaking directly with Mercury in Palace and Jupiter. Jupiter is in Gemini, in the communication. Abundant communication, speaking to the healing or the lack of it, if you're acknowledging it either way, and speaking into strategically giving you the opportunity to make the changes. But will you speak it into reality? You have Saturn, Venus, and Nessus. Again, speaking with Mercury, and then speaking with Jupiter also, but not as strong. But very similar, giving you the maneuvering power to maneuver, shift your rules, walls, and boundaries, reset them by believing in yourself, by bringing the healing forward, stepping out of that hive mind mentality, getting out of your comfort zone and doing something about it. But you are going to have a lot of oppositions this week because you've got, oh my God, a grand cross. You've got a grand square. You've got Lilith speaking to Jupiter, then speaking to Venus and Saturn and Nessus and Chiron, all in energy. All fighting one another, all going, yes, I know what we want, but we can't ever seem to come to the right conclusion and agree on how to get there, because that's what the funk is. That's the ego inside fighting you about believing in yourself. Like I said, I don't even need to get into it. You have Chiron speaking with Lilith. You got Mercury speaking with Mars. You have the Grand Cross and the Grand Square of Chiron, Mercury, Lilith, and Mars all not getting along. Will you allow the outer world, the outer lower consciencelessness to keep you from? I do believe in fairies. I do. I do. And you can't take that from me, so nanny boo boo. Are you in your power or not? You can be walked on, stepped on, taken advantage of, but that's always because you allowed it. It's about not allowing it. You don't mean you love somebody any less. It just means you're learning to love yourself and change the rules of the game. I love you guys. I will see you next week. Bye.